What's up, everyone? 2013 Toyota Venza 2.7 XLE all-wheel drive. We're replacing the front wheel bearings over here. I'm going to give you a little step-by-step guide on how to take out the steering knuckle and kind of the process that's involved on replacing the wheel bearings. If you have any humming sounds or weird rumblings while driving, it's most likely your wheel bearing, and this wheel bearing, you could kind of hear it. Hard to hear, but it's there. So I'm gonna give you a little guide steps. As you can see, we already got this side taken off. I'm gonna show you on the other side what you have involved with this job. So what you have going on, things you gotta remove. One, you gotta take off this axle nut right over here. How it's locked into place is this little notch. I like taking like a small pry bar and trying to pry that notch up. If you can't get that notch pried up, it's okay. You can still zap it off. You just gotta be careful with the threads. Recommend spraying everything down with PB Blast so you can see it's already pretty rusty. The car's not that old. Spray that down. Spray the top bolts down. This is a 30 millimeter 12-point impact socket that you'll need, or an axle nut socket, specifically made for Toyotas. All Toyotas use pretty much this type of design, 12-point, 30 millimeters. So I always like zapping those off first. It just makes it easy while the brakes and everything are in place, using an air gun. Once you zap that off, what you want to do is take off this brake caliper. Taking off the brake caliper is pretty simple. You got a 12 millimeter bolt up there, 12 millimeter bolt down here. That comes off. Then you have the caliper bracket. You got a 17 millimeter bolt up there, 17 millimeter bolt down right there. That'll take off the caliper bracket. And then you take off your rotor. If the rotor is stuck to the hub, you want to take a dead blow hammer, rubberized hammer with the little beads in there, kind of sounds like a maraca. And then you can hit the rotor to take it off if it's rusted to the hub. That way you don't damage the rotor, because if you use a metal hammer, it'll obviously damage the rotor. All right, once that hub assembly is off, you want to then take out, one, the tie rod, two, the strut assembly bolts, the two big ones up here. Three, the wheel speed sensor bolt. It's a little 10 millimeter bolt down there. Then you take off the wheel speed sensor and this little clip. And then last but not least, you want to take off the ball joint. And the easiest way of doing that is taking off these three 17 millimeter bolts down over there. Okay, once those are all loosened up, the whole assembly will kind of come out. The tie rod, go on this side to show you. The tie rod is held in by one 17 millimeter castle nut and a cotter pin. On this tie rod, you can see the cotter pin was really stuck in there, so I had to cut it. Then I had to bang my 17 millimeter socket on there, and I zapped it off with my air gun. So I'm kind of SOL on this pin. I can mess with it now. I'll probably try melting it and getting it through, but that's how you take off the tie rod. And then obviously never hit the tie rod itself. My trick for taking out the tie rod off of the steering knuckle, if it's stuck in there, is you take the hammer, I have a little engineer's hammer, a little mini sledge, and then you hit right over here on the steering knuckle itself. Just hit it really hard, and then the tie rod will pop out eventually. A little trick that I use. That's essentially it. That's all you really have to do to take the steering knuckle off. I don't think I'm missing anything. Oh yeah, the top two bolts. These are 22 millimeters. It runs this way, so the bolt goes through on the right side, the nut's on the left side. So I just usually hold the 22 on this side with the wrench, and then I put a 22 millimeter on the impact and zap this side off. And then everything kind of just fumbles out of here. And then you're left with this. Now, once you get the steering knuckle off, it will require a press. You have a little snap ring on there you have to take off. You'd have to take the hub off, so you'd have to bang the hub off or take the hub off on the press, either using a bearing splitter or hammer or whatever you want to use. And then you'll press the old bearing out, press the new bearing in, and then go about your day. I was going to show that in this video, but unfortunately I took all this off in the parts store, ordered the wrong part. So stay tuned for another video on that. I'm actually putting all this back together. Putting it all back together, I highly recommend lubing everything, so the next time you have to take this off, it'll be fair game for you, and it'll be super easy in cleaning up any rusty bolts and then torquing everything down to spec. But I want to make this video to give you an overview. It's not too difficult. I had my students working on this, and I had my basic automotive students working on this, and they got it out in about an hour and a half-ish. dealt with the little rusty items, such as like the cotter pin on this, where I had to help him with it, but could be done on your own. And obviously they do sell those like front wheel bearing kits where you could do it while the knuckle is on the car as well. But hope this video helps you. If you have any questions, please just put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. And stay tuned for my press video. I will have that showing you how to press the whole assembly out and press the new one in. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Peace.